Alright, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, as always. Well, actually. Donation box. First things first, about the dog. Next thing's next. Hey Michael. I guess keep crafting railgun components for when we do that again. That's like the thing though, right? Is just like there's no, yeah, just have no drive to actually go hunting big units. Hey Alex. Let's start with Babel. Thanks, appreciate it, Alex. It feels like pistols are a giant mistake to bring to a map like Babel, considering all of the drones. Pistol run on Babel? Fuck no. That's just stupid, to be quite frank. It's just like, oh no, there's a drone I'm fighting now. It'll just like take 10 years shooting it. Or just running away, really. Drones not having weak spots. Yeah, no. I mean, the Glock is basically an SMG. It's not even like a pistol at this point, it's just like an honorary, like, SMG. Let's go. Who has a, who has the Glock? I'm pretty sure it's Gorilla, right? Yeah. It is the de facto best 9mm SMG. Do I really not have any attachments for you? Really? Alright, Grillo. Magazine. And I'm guessing I need to get the muzzle brake from Aramaki. I believe it's one of these little snub ones. We'll just do a buy one of each. I think it's this one. But just to make sure. I mean... if they were going to remove the unkillable status of those units, they would have to make them so brutally unfair on the offensive front, right? To prevent cheesing. Like, that's almost one of those units that we shouldn't be able to kill. Like, not literally, right? But just like a stat comparison of like, hey, Kolkata versus us. Alright. Let me bring jump too. Hey John. I mean, yeah, we've had this conversation before. HUD off. We're like, yeah, it's a lot of different things, right? It's like death by 1,000 cuts, but no, like... Hold still. My god, brother. Chill out. I just in the sense of like, yeah, it's multifaceted like a lot of things are in this game currently, in the sense of like the solution to the problems aren't just like one simple solution. You could make it that, but there's always caveats. I wonder if they need to add some, like, downside for activating this early, right? It feels like no matter what, you should just activate this right off the rip and then, like, just play the map. Leave yellow, drones. There we go. Oh, it's just like, it's part of the whole thing where when they detached infantry from the tick rate. A few of them have the zoomies now. Hey, Scooby. Like, honestly, this is like the type of map too where it's like I want to like jump around on like the shanty, like just like Mesa. All I want to do is like jump around the different shanties, like not via normal pathing, but like from the rooftops, right? You just shot me. What the hell? Thanks, Hanzo. No, it was like, I basically said this is like a must fix sort of situation, so they listened. Insanity. Like, animation locks are a terrible thing, to be quite frank. Short ones are fine, but as I'm sure they're hearing right now in droves, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that a 5-second knockdown that animation locked is not a good idea. I mean, Jay, we're using a Glock, so it's like an honorary SMG. It is a pistol by the classification, but really it's just an SMG at this point. Nice Insanity. You're definitely playing it on a harder setting than actually, because healing is kind of OP in this game. It's so very strong. This might kill me. Can I actually walk across this and not die? I'm not sure why you would choose this path over... Is it because they could put... Is like... I saw the gacha there before. Is that like their reward in the sense of you came down here and enjoy a gacha? I mean, that's novel. But now for people who didn't have pneumatic jump, can they get back up? Okay, they can. I mean, it's a cute little puzzle, I will say. I mean, like, it's very placeholdery, but I like that. You know, come do this little, like, tight walk and you get a gacha container. Oh, magazine. Leave. God, fucking drones, man. Yeah, he does introduce a good change off. Vad, no, it's just one difficulty. You can make it harder by, like, playing Gunhead. Because you can't heal. That's kind of the reason, like, why Gunhead's harder. Because healing is really strong. No problem. I mean, there was that, what was it, like last stream, I think, or was it Friday stream, where we got like, we got Chain knocked down, and it was like a minute-long death spiral. It was really quite comical. Um, usually across the board. I will say, like, predominantly usually indie rock or alternative rock. But like I'll basically listen to anything that's like essentially not pop country. It's like the only genre that I actively disdain is pop country. And like I don't really listen to pop either, but like if you put me in a room with only pop and pop country, I would listen to pop over country. Yeah, I would much rather prefer Michael's shorter knockdown window, but like, yeah, without iframes. If it's like 9 Inch Nails, because I know 9 Inch Nails can be considered industrial rock, sort of, kind of. Am I getting shot through the wall? I haven't heard of them before, but if it's like 9 Inch Nails, I would probably listen to them. Brother, stop immediately respawning. You know, I will say, I will give props to Fundog, because I do recall that drones were not very liked at all for the longest time, and to introduce Babel as like a drone-centric map, oh, the bravery. I'm pretty sure players have always renowned drones as being the most annoying enemy in the game. And this map is just chock full of them that just constantly respawn. Bold. Hey, Agent. Let's see here. Let's go over to Lamask's Mountain. We haven't done cyborg farming in a while. Maybe it's time? See if it's still viable. Though I wish I had a Vepr though. A Vepr would be nice to have in this instance, just for the flashlight. Classic Doe, Scar plus AA12. Sure. Alright, good there. We got plenty of ammo. I need medicine though. Those drones drained all of my medicine. Alright, good enough. Let's go drone hunting. Or sorry, cyborg hunting. I mean, the one aspect of Stairway that's nice is they actually did put some thought into the areas where enemies respawn. I mean, there's really only that one area on the left-hand side going up the staircase, but it is an area that actually makes sense to have respawns at, right? Because it's hidden from players. I have no idea, Sugar. Just, I have no idea when they're adding new. There's so much stuff that I feel like needs to be done with this game. New units are almost like on. Like, don't get me wrong, having new units would be cool, but like, I would place it as such a low priority personally right now for me. And that's me speaking though, right? That's not them, so like, I'm sure they're gonna add more units soon. I mean, they've kind of talked about Jay, like, having... they talked about the reinforcement update, but we really haven't gotten it yet, right? We're missing all of the logistical units to like facilitate that, like, you know, trucks or lorries and helicopters that are like more combat focused or strike troop focused, and then drop pods and stuff like that. So Hanzo, to get that mech to spawn, you basically have to find a codex on the ground, and it's a random low percentage chance that it spawns. So like, first it has to spawn on your map, and then second you need to find it, and then third that will cause Colcata to spawn. So it's essentially just like RNG. Your best bet if you really want to get into spawn is probably farming Scrapyard with a tac cam, because Scrapyard is a small map, and the tac cam should show you where it spawns pretty easily. I can't imagine ever finding that thing in Frozen Swamp or stuff like that, right? Just too big of an area. Yeah, I kind of ignore that it exists because it has a similar problem to a lot of other things, where it's too small. I guess you could say baby grabber or small grabber, but no, I'm gonna say sizing issue. Alright, well, that's the downside when we have regular medkits. I honestly probably need to start bringing flashlights more. It's getting really hard to see nowadays. Between the muzzle flash and just like it's just hard to see. Let me start bringing flashlights. It's always like all my 50 cal, right? Most of it. Let me start fetching flashlights. I need to buy some flashlights. Okay, understood. I mean, but it's more of just like the game is very dark. Let's see here. Let's buy one of each, just to make sure I have one. I mean, that was a pretty old issue, right? People highlighted a lot that it's like, until you learn about the Z button for like scanning things, it's really hard to identify silhouettes in the game. And it's partially because like whenever you see an enemy in the game, they're always covered with dust or just like a black veil from the lack of illumination. I mean, more Michael, it's more in the sense that like silhouettes were actually cared about. Just hit Z. Like, Michael, if you're gonna take the stance that this game is very easy to see in, I would love to argue about that with you, because I think you're objectively wrong in that case. When there's constant critiques about the game going back to the launch of just like how it's impossible to identify silhouettes. Customize. Select rig. I wanna restore this. Come on, Gabe. Believe in you. There we go. Alright, well that's fun. I'm out of meds. Let's go over Gunhead then, because if I don't have meds, might as well just play Gunhead with the extra HP. Alright, run it back. I mean, that'd be a cool upgrade eventually, right? Just replacing his gun head with like an IR head. Good trade-off. You get like a free tac cam, but you lose your gun.
One day they won't need us, but not today.
I mean, I can just show you an example over here, right? Where like you can see the silhouettes per se, but like all of the color and like every aspect of it is just like grayed or blacked out, right? Then over here too, right? It's just like a lot of like because of how the lighting's set up currently, all of the detail is basically grayed out or blacked out. I feel like those need to be way louder. Yeah, that needs to be way louder. You have cyborgs running across the metal scaffolding, and they're practically silent. Yeah, you can. Not very well. Well, I mean, it's better at closer range. I think it's over. I don't know. I think they buffed it twice, and I think the first buff was fine. The second buff was kind of egregious. Because I think if I recall right now, Van, you can no longer one-shot cyborgs to the head with 50 cal, which is a giant mistake. Like, I'm perfectly fine with the cyborgs being resilient to intermediate cartridges, but like, if the Scar, the Scar should one-shot headshot them. Not really, Insanity. Not really. Getting them to be community facing is borderline impossible, to be quite frank. It doesn't mean they're not listening, but it doesn't mean they want to talk back to you, basically, or they don't want to like have a dialogue. Like, they are listening, it's just that, you know, it's a one-way listening, right? Didn't they do like did they actually push that Q&A? There was a way. There was a Q&A questionnaire they did like a while ago, like a month or two ago. I don't think they ever pushed out the Q&A video, right? I know that there was that one time they didn't actually add everyone for it, so maybe I just missed it. Did they put out the recently Q&A? Well, okay, here's like the biggest thing, right? I would much rather them balance like enemy lethality through scarcity as opposed to just... I'd rather them have bullets feel good, just sparse, as opposed to just like Division 2 sort of stuff. I mean, Fruit, if they haven't done the last Q&A, Like, there was a Q&A, like, open like a month ago. I don't think they ever, like, actually did. I might have just missed it, though, so correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, we're kind of getting to that point where everything is last Q&A was May 2nd, so we definitely have had a Q&A, but since then, right? They didn't actually put it out. So there's currently one in limbo, I guess. Yeah, it's, and like that's partially too just on, I don't know, it's a lot of, it's once again, it's all multifaceted, right? And I know like there was that talk, I think like maybe, oh my god, why are you so quiet? There was that, so like some guy, some reference it in chat like to, or like, I think either Friday stream or Monday stream, right, about some guy put like a 3-hour video out about like the issues with the game. I didn't watch it, I just heard the TLDR of it, and like if the whole overarching theme of his video is that like, hey, the game's lacking systems, I do overall agree with that. See, that's an important aspect too, Van. It's why it's not just a simple solution to just like making ammo harder to acquire. Because then it just becomes like you need to go farm ammo for an hour before you can do anything. So it's not just a simple solution as in, what the hell are you, is that a, are you an HK or just you want to hurt me? I get this strange that that's an HK, which is why are you angry? Because I was killing cyborgs for you. Fuck off. I can't see. I mean, here's the thing though, Michael. Would you rather just put out a game that's not well received because it lacks any substance, or would you rather actually spend the time to rework things and add an actual structure to your game? Any distance? No, I don't. Oh god, I need to unbuy that thing again. I think like during a recent patch it rebounded, so I gotta fix that. Let me go ahead and do that before it kills me. Where are you? Turn 180, numpad 3. Why are you so quiet? These are like the stealthiest cyborgs. Why don't you make any noise? It's metal on metal. I'm gonna die here. I got like no HP left in Guthead. Here they come again. The world's quietest army of cyborgs. No, they're heading down the staircase. Yeah, there it goes. The HK's omniscience. I know that spawn sugar. They spawn up the stairs and run down. For some, like, I thought they were louder too. I mean, Michael, that's perfectly fine to you state that that's your natural opinion, right? I would show you a bunch of reviews and critiques that say otherwise, right? It's enjoyable enough for you. It's, I would say, not enjoyable enough for a much larger audience than just you. Like, it's great that you really enjoy the game and you find it passable enough for yourself. That's great. But, like, I would show you a bunch of other opinions that say otherwise. And I would say the broader community sentiment is not aligned with your take. Alright, let's just do some quests so I don't drain myself on my water. No exo hunting, we'll just do elephant and some regular quests on elephant. Hey, Bob. I don't think it's so clogged. I think there's a confusion here, right? There's an element of it's jank, right? But it's more of in the sense of it's not just the jank, right? Like it's very easy to get focused on the lack of polish and blame that for everything, right? But it's really easy. Think of it this way, right? It's like normal human psychology. It's much easier for you to blame the thing that's right there in front of you than to actually, like, analyze your feelings and why you feel that way, right? Are you just scapegoating the easiest thing to blame, the jank, or are there more systemic issues underlying underneath the game itself? And my argument is that yes, there's plenty of jank, but like that's being used as a scapegoat right now to draw attention away from the lack of any systems underneath the facade of the game. And this is coming from someone who I do enjoy the game, right? I wouldn't be streaming if I didn't enjoy it, right? That doesn't mean I don't need to be critical of it too, right? And like the closer we get to launch, the more of it's impossible to rework these systems, right? Essentially, like, it's if you 1.0 the game and ship it out to consoles, it's gonna be really fucking hard to actually see any systemic overhauls, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the jank is not an issue, but I am saying that, like, there are core system issues at hand, right? In the sense of, like, the game is a lot of just cool aesthetics kind of glued together, and the players kind of feel that, right? They can't always say what the problem is, but you can kind of feel the anarchy and chaos. Blood Panda made a good point. What core systems? Exactly. There kind of aren't any. Everything just feels kind of siloed and glued in and, like, stapled together. It feels disjointed. I mean, there's not, but like everything, considering their Steam page still says they're hoping to put it out within a year of like going into early access, that gives us 2 months. And that's saying there won't be delays or like longer than that, but like their early access page still says they're hoping for a year. When I say core systems clocked, I more mean like, for example, your progression, your gunplay, your other systems, like, you know, like if they're gonna do multi-raid, right? Like, actually, let me use this example. I closed my poll recently, and the poll showed, like, I only had like 27 respondents total, so it's not like a giant sample size. So like, this is definitely prone to error, or prone not to be indicative of the entire audience, right? So take that with a grain of salt. But the poll did show, and the poll was about water and like the hole it left behind, right? And so people are overall fairly satisfied with the current water system, right? Or rather, they, you know, relative to what they've experienced before, they overall like it. The average rating was a 6.7, with the median being 7, so it's skewed toward higher positive ratings. There's a few outliers bringing it down. But overall, outside of that first rating, the vast majority of people who responded by poll said that, like, they're, you know, the amount of stress that has been removed from the game by the removal of IRL water is like vast, right? It's, they, you know, 20, like, essentially like 90% of the people voted like, yeah, there's been a big change. And then out of those, like, you know, 90%, 70% voted that, like, yeah, there needs to be something in its place. Because, like, right now there's no drive pushing the player forward, right? Like, this is extraction shooters have always been a genre of game where, like, the game kind of pushes you. If you've played Tarkov before, right? Have you ever gotten to the point in Tarkov where you ask yourself, why are you playing this? Like, say you're like 100 hours into a wipe and you ask yourself, why am I playing this? I'm sure it's come up to a few of you before, right? And like, so like my segue from that, right, is that Tarkov does a good job of, like, when they do a wipe, it's like keeping up with the Joneses, right? Like you're competing against other players and you're you know, you're racing to get ahead, and that's your main progression, right? Is trying to keep ahead of other players. Like, that's the pressure, right? And you don't want to fall behind. You don't want to get to the point in Tarkov where, like, suddenly you can't even compete with higher level players because they just have so much more stuff than you, right? But in a game like this, where it's PvE focused, there has to be something else systemic that actually, like, applies that pressure to the player. And I'm not saying it has to be water, right? But there has to be some type of system, or, like, systems that work together to pressure that player into progression, right? And I raised this question in a Q&A forever ago, right? And I do think that, like, I feel like there was a misunderstanding between me and the developers on what that question was supposed to mean. It's basically what I was elaborating on is, like, what is going to be your drive for the players, right? In the sense of, like, keeping them engaged and progressing through the game, right? And they kind of brushed this, like, they should just play the game so they like the game, right? It's not as simple as that, right? All games provide some silhouette or some structure to, like, have the players progress through the game, right? Even a game like Monopoly, right? You know, people collect properties and, you know, pay others, right? Like, you are trying to win the game. That is the progression of the game. It's collecting properties, building houses, hotels, and, like, you know, bankrupting other players. And some games can be sandboxy, right, in their experiences, but they still provide a basic structure for you, right? Like, for example, Hearts of Iron, right? Hearts of Iron, you could say that, like, there's not really a clear structure in those games, right, of, like, what you're supposed to do. Other enemies will, like, force you along to doing things, but, like, your goal can, they have victory conditions, right, but you can play it however you want, right? If you want to be some small nation with your own goals, you can do that in Hearts of Iron, right? But the systems are there to promote that kind of, like, you know, dynamic storytelling or dynamic or emergent, like, you know, goals, right? The system has to be in there to facilitate that. Oh, Mr. Grizz, 100%, right? Yeah, like... yeah, it's to a point when a game becomes a chore and you nope out, 100%, I agree. I have a problem with some like games like RimWorld, for example, where like I'm a type of player who generally enjoys sitting down and doing a session within like one playthrough, and grand strategy games just do not vibe with me for that reason, right? I find it really hard to pick back up where I left off, and like you had to do all of this ground level work to be like where was I at, what was I doing, what was like, how's everything going, and so on and so forth, right? And like that amount of friction usually signs me off of a game like a grand strategy game, right? I've played a Stellaris campaign once, I've played a Paradox like Hearts of Iron game once. I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but like I mean, Blood, that's the kind of the case that raised like why I don't think they should add more units then. Because if like the whole cycle is like add units, fix units, add units, fix units, you can never break that cycle. It's kind of probably why we didn't actually see a Europa unit this patch, right? Is because they're trying to fix things. But like a big thing too is progression, right? Like that's been another like big talking point for a lot of, you know, more negative reviews, right? Is like the game kind of lacks progression right now. You kind of just like, once you like know the game you play for like 4 hours, right? You can get whatever you want. The only exception now being Calcutta, which is like just RNG. Randy doesn't really unlock anything, right? He just gives you a codex. Or rather, you don't even need to kill him, you just pick up his codex. It is nice when, yeah, opals don't suicide anymore when they spawn. 100%. I mean, I'm not actively now. If I find it, I will. Whereas I'm playing no HUD, so the chances of me finding it are like almost, I would say, infinitely zero. I would have to go probably scrapyard and then turn the HUD back on, or just bring attack him, I guess. I mean, Mr. like, I'm not gonna say like any of none of the patches have been bad, but like none of the patches have been like substantial, right? There's never been a patch where I'm like, that's changed the entire like paradigm of the game, right? And how it feels. It's kind of just been fixes plus more content. And like that's kind of the issue, right? In the sense of like they're kind of in a content ad phase when it kind of feels like they're in a, you know, figure out the game still phase. Like, in a way, like, the simplest way to probably put it is it just feels like they're vibing. And, like, vibing's good and all, right? But, like, if you just try and build a house off vibes, as opposed to using an architect, you'll get something that looks like a house, right? But, like, you're gonna have lots of issues. Like, with knowing the like how like everyone has seen a house before, right? They know what houses look like, and you might have some idea of how houses are built, right? But that doesn't usually mean you can just ignore an architect and just vibe build a house. That's how you get what's it called, the state to come by and what's it called, what's the right word for this, where they like basically say you can't, eviction. It's not eviction, but it's like some other word for eviction, right? Where they basically say like is it they condemn your house, right? They condemn your building. I think that's what it's called, right? They condemn the building because it's unsafe to live in. Yeah, condemn it. There we go. Yeah. Let's do some Frozen Swamp. And that's kind of like the almost like the high level analogy of what I'm kind of saying is that like a lot of the community is coming by and condemning the building, basically the game, and saying that like, hey, it looks like a house, but like inside there ain't no house. Or it's like all those great like it's been a while since I've watched one, but there's like a few TikTokers or like, you know, short people who do like house inspections, and like they'll go like look at newer houses and like basically show how like shoddily they're built. I guess this is fine. I'm not in love with this AK, but it is what it is. Let's bring attack can. Let's start bringing attack cans so we can actually see if we can find Kolkata's little grimoire.
Well, time to dive another dumpster.
I mean, I see things over there, but it's probably just containers. Yeah, it's just the tower. Oh, Vad, reviving Gunnut's got it's just its equipment slot. You just toggle with it, basically. See how dark this is, though? Why are you so quiet? Okay, bear with me here. They do decent damage, they're tanky, they're reasonably fast except for Scav Girl, and now they're stealthy too? What the hell? It's super soldiers. No, but like, that's a great example, right? It's just like, it just... yeah. I don't mind if it's dark, but like there needs to be some like, I'm not saying that you need to like up the contrast by any means, but just like everything just like at a certain distance in certain maps, right? Like it just blends together. I'm not even saying that like the solution is more lighting. It could be more lighting, to be honest, but like I don't know, it just feels weird. Why are you all so sneaky? Also using a silencer too, and apparently this don't give a shit. I want to turn the HUD back on because I'm genuinely curious how these aggro meters are working right now. They just see me from far away or something, or what? See, like right now, we actually have some light on us, and we have some detail on us too, right? It's like that detail goes like, and now we're in pitch blackness. I wonder, honestly, you know what it might be? Oh, I'm curious if it's that. So, UE5... it's usually a setting you turn off, at least that I'm familiar with, pretty early on, because it does fuck with your like ability to see shit. They have auto exposure on, because I've noticed that like that's why, for example, if you go over to the fires, you get blinded for a bit, is because the game will adjust your auto exposure to like essentially black out your screen, right? Because it's too bright. So that will mean it's cool in the sense that it blinds you for a bit, but like, it does that dynamically as you're moving through the map, right? It will adjust the exposure. Which means if you're in a relatively bright area, it will make areas outside of that look like really fucking dark. So I wonder how much of that is actually just the auto exposure being on. Am I out of meds already? No, I'm basically out of meds already. I don't mean start on HDR. I always keep HDR off now because it's literally blinding. I wonder how much of this would be fixed if just they just like manually did their exposure level for the whole map. It's actually, did they turn it off? It's not as bad here. It's usually, did it only happen to, did they turn it off?
Oh shit.
I kind of throws out my argument. I know it was usually bad on XOs. I think the secret would be killing an XO and figuring it out. Yeah, usually the vehicles cause fire that does that auto exposure. Exo's milder now? Okay. Alright, I'm officially out of beds. Like, thankfully, the nice thing about these guys, right, is they actually have some bright stuff on them, so you can identify them, right? Maybe that's what the units are missing, right? Is just kind of like, I'm not saying they all need to have this, right? But that little bit of extra detail on these cyborgs makes it so much easier to identify them at distance, right? And kind of see what's going on with them. Like, this is a very gamified element, right? Which is nice, because it's a game. It's a game.
Taking fire.
Like little glowy bits and bobbles. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna get to that level of detail in regards to, like, you know, having amazing quality animations on every unit, just because there's so fucking many of them. Alright, water thieves are dead. This kind of goes back to the whole less is more sort of debacle in regards to weapons. Would you rather have, and like the problem is like, I think there's definitely different takes on this, right? Some people would rather have more weapons that are less polished as opposed to less weapons that are more polished, right? And they definitely seem to sign on with the more and less polished. It's not saying that they're bad by any means, but there's definitely like, it is definitely some third-person animations. Alright, let's go find an exo we can kill, or a tank we can kill, and see how blind we get. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I feel like, honestly, we have too many guns, right? Unless they want to stylize them. There's so much functional overlap, and it's like, you know, you can still have aesthetic choices and that functional overlap, but there's a lot of functional overlap for, like, you know, every single intermediate rifle right now just does the same role, and, like, they're all the fucking same. And they all feel the same too, firing. And this is, once again, a case of a system, right? In the sense that, like, that system doesn't exist currently in the game, and players feel that. They might not always be able to say what they feel, but they can definitely tell you that they feel it from negative reviews, or just, you know, critiques. Alright, time to skedaddle. Because I have no bed kits left. No. Okay, ran away, we're good.
Enemies came knocking.
No, exactly, yeah, no, they all have the same recoil pattern, basically. There's no character to any of the guns, they all have the same template. Yeah, it does. The guns are just, like, moderately slower than they probably should be, right? It creates some weird instances where you're having to, like, lead, like, aggressively for, like, not a very far range.
Remember, we're already dead.
Oh, Mr. Grooves. I'm not sure if I agree with that sentiment. I don't know about that. I have no idea. If they do, it's not noticeable. Well, actually, I think they give you less threat in regards to the HK system, but I'm not sure if it's like less perception though too. Like, Mr. Grooves, considering we have yet to see an instance of that level of overhaul in any of the patches. That's why I'm a bit skeptical and agreeing with that kind of stance, right? Same thing with the you know, the maps in progress. We have yet to see any of these in progress maps get like a huge extra area added on, or like an entire like large addition to them. So like, until we see one of those maps get like that level of addition, I'm not gonna say any of them do. And now the problem I think right now is this is probably gonna skew us because we're bringing a grenade launcher with our pistol. It probably will like wash each other out, I imagine, but we can see. I don't think I share the same sentiment, Mr. Grooves. I would hope I would share. Like I if they do that, I will be very happy. But I'm not hopeful.
I hate this.
They have not, Lewis, which is why like I'm not gonna say that like that's what they mean by in progress. We have never seen an instance where they have added actually like more playable areas to a map. I forgot to bring a jump. Oh well. I actually think, John, I think that's dangerous. I don't know. I feel like if we ever want to see weapons get reworked or added or like made actually interesting, talking about ballistics is dangerous because that's an easy way for them to write it off because it's like you know, we're not trying to be a milsim. That's too much work to do for all of the guns, is do ballistics and so on and so forth. So we're not going to do that. It gives them like an easy way, I think, of like writing it off. I would much prefer if they just stylize the guns and then like that's it, right? Just make them feel different. I don't care if they're arcadey or not. I just want them to feel different and like actual choices to be made, right? Like this is once again, this is a game. I enjoy games for making choices that have different like outcomes, right? Right now, there's not really any systems that reinforce that kind of behavior. Just ignore the floating Glock magazine. You can't see it. It's not there. No moms? Huh. But it's not spawned yet because I'm not down there. Well, I guess we'll find out. Where's the railings? No, that's all me. We didn't want to beat there anyway. We wanted to actually find... What's it called? We wanted to find things to blow up. Alright, where was I? Glock? Eh, we'll bring an M16, why not? That's a problem I will say too, I think, of like... Let me get rid of this foregrip. Like... It's just a bug when you don't prestige, when you can prestige. It doesn't really mean anything. For some reason it bugs out when you like, if you don't level up, when you could level up, it just bugs out. Like, don't get me wrong, like, vibe guns are cool and all, but like, why would you ever rock an M16 really outside of vibes? It is like, it's literally just a gun that has to be worked on and added, like, done work to just for people to vibe with. And that's all fine and well, but there's a lot of that, it feels like. Like the TKB, right? Like, once again, another vibe gun. I'm just like, I want to play with an AK, but like a bullpup AK for some weird reason. What is it actually adding to the game outside of just like cool shit? Remember, cool shit's fun and all, but like, it doesn't provide me any choices outside of just like, oh yeah, fashion police. Oh, the VKS? The VKS is, yeah. Once again, the VKS is another gun. I'm just like, what's its purpose in the game? Just to like, provide masochist players a gun.
I hate the surface.
The Scar is like the one gun they've actually given attention to, right? And it, like, out of all of the guns in the game, despite how much of like blasphemy it is to like most gun enthusiasts, the Scar in 50 cal is the best feeling gun in the game by far, because it's the only gun they have diverted themselves from the IRL equivalent. It's like, hey, like, look, when you actually, like, you know, world build your guns to your setting, the gun actually feels good and has a use case in the game, as opposed to all of these shoe-in aesthetic looking guns, or aesthetic, you know, guns. And it's also like the one gun that's been balanced appropriately, right? In the sense of like, hey, yeah, you have like this, you know, unsilenced powerful rifle that can go full auto and shred shit, but its weapons, it's, you know, the weapon's really loud, and the weapon's also, the ammunition for it's expensive, right? It's not expensive, it's heavy. So like, it actually opens up a choice for you, right? You can bring in less ammo, but more powerful ammo, but a gun you can silence. Those are all choices you have to make when you decide to use a SCAR 50 cal, right? As opposed to all of the other rifles that ask you no questions at all. It's just bring the big magazine, bring the silencer, and then like essentially pick whatever vibe you want. All right, let's kill a tank and see if we can get blind. Painless too. I mean, Painless is a bit janky still, but Painless is interesting at least. I think Painless has like suffered a bit from like what it's supposed to be. Oh, yeah, the VKS, the unusable gun. Thankfully, Rage is not here right now, so this is perfect. We can talk about we can talk the VKS in chat right now. Everyone get out all your VKS hate while Rage is not here. And I'm not even saying like they're like, once again, I don't mind the fact that like there are aesthetic guns that function similarly, but like they should feel like part of the aesthetic, I will say, is also just like the feel of the gun. Actually, not that bad. Let me try this one. This is one we definitely blew up. Ow. It's actually not doing the onyx pusher anymore. That's nice. Fucking drones, man. Why? I fucking hate drones so much, dude. I'd be alright ever since they buffed it to be like one-shot headshot. Already getting low on meds again. It's fun. Yeah, it might just be like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it's like old legacy units, perhaps. It definitely used to be in the game, but I'm glad it's removed. So it's probably not that. That's causing just like the weird, just like loss of detail at range. It could just be the models too, right? Just not enough stuff on them to actually help you identify them at range. What did they... I'm so confused on how they broke the grenade launcher. Did they like reduce its damage, or just like it doesn't like proc its explosion anymore? That one got him. I mean, I don't mind that we have modern guns. It's more in the sense that like we have modern guns that like just have like their modern silhouettes, right? They've not been like aesthetically changed in any way. Like we have all these cool like 3D printed buildings, and you're telling me that like the construction robots are corrupted, but like all of the AI factories aren't. Like, why would you just not make your like artwork on your guns too, right? Mr. Grooves, it does genuinely feel like that. Though, like, I think Rillo said, right, that they worked with Grantham on the guns, or, like, I guess got a list of guns from Grantham for the game. And to be perfectly fair, though, right, like, I like Grantham. I like older Grantham. I like Grantham enough, but, like, he is a gun fluencer, right? He's not even a gun nerd, he's a gun fluencer. Like, gun Jesus, Ian, it like, you know, that's a gun nerd, not a gun enthusiast. Or gun influencer, rather. I'm not even saying it should have been Ian instead. I think they just should have been like, just make up your own guns, man. Or hire someone who like designs guns for games, or talk to someone, or consult, I don't know, just do anything like that. You're not gonna, you're like, your grimdark audience game's not going to appeal to a bunch of like Tarkov fanatics. Like, there's never going to be a point where you can compete with that system. It's usually dead. Twitch chat usually isn't popping too much for my channel. We're mainly YouTube first. I usually just I have Twitch up just for people who prefer Twitch over YouTube. Old man. It would just be a bunch of French guns for Ian. I mean, to be fair, I fuck with the Lebel a lot. I do weirdly like a lot of the French guns too, to be honest. The Maz, the Lebel, the Shishou. The French guns are fucking great. Let's see here. What do I have ammo-wise? 2054R. Is it? I think it's R8 time. We got plenty of 357. I need a silencer for you. I believe it's this one, if I recall correctly. Yep. We don't need a lot here, so there's gonna. That's plenty. And we'll do shotgun for our offhand to back us up. Not a lot though, just a bit. Alright, medkit's done. That done. Think we're good. Bring attack cam too so we can find Kolketa's stuff. We'll do trenches. I mean, there's a few that's like on Elephant Mausoleum, right? There's a few tanks in the game that like, or like they have a few carcasses of tanks, right, that aren't actually like in the game yet, but they have the models for. So like they definitely have tanks in the queue, I guess. I think it's just a big thing, right, with the maps, right? Like, what maps can really facilitate more bigger tanks, right? Like, you kind of have Scorched, Mesa, and Elephant, and that's really about it. You can actually see it on this map too, right? There was that small little drone tank on Frozen Swamp. There's like a little drone that's like a drone tank pulling a cargo container. But yeah, no, this is like, you know, we have this tank right here that's giant. That actually looks cool, right? Let's free some civilians.
We're here.
It's so crazy how, like, out of all of the guns, the hardest to control are actually the pistols. Like, look at all the screen shake, right? And then we have... and then we have the shotgun. The fully automatic shotgun. Be free. No, you're good. How about it? Yeah, I don't know. I will say, they did add more bodies to this map. They looked at the map and are like, we need more bodies. They have added more bodies in. Let me up the meat wall. What? Can you try that? Oh shit. Wait, I was that low? Or did I get a headshot? Man, it's really confusing now. I guess just like, yeah, that's the downside of... I thought I was spamming the medkit button, but I just don't know. Was like, I actually out of medkits, or just like, did I get a headshot and instantly like lose most of my HP? I think the one thing I'm definitely set on so far this stream is that like, units do not make enough sound when they're moving around. Infantry carrying combat gear are not quiet. I mean, the squad probably aggroed at once right below me, 100%. It's more in the sense that I thought I had more HP than I did, because I thought I was spamming the HP button, so either I was out of medkits or I wasn't actually spamming properly. Like, this is the downside of no HUD, is like, whenever you think you've lost HP, you just have to like chug medkits. I'll just bring along my small ones, I guess. Yeah, that's also reason too why I do not, like, I always do search alls or like loot alls before I actually like figure out what's in the pack, because yeah, it can taint your pool very quickly.
Maybe eating a bullet would be better.
Hell, even bringing just like 3 different types of medkits too can taint your pool, because I just don't know what I'm healing off of. This is also where like just once again the kind of the point too of like, I'm kind of digging around right now, but like it's the point of just like be proactive and just kill everything, because like no matter what you're gonna have scenarios where that happens because of how the game currently is, so it's just better if you just murder everything.
Taking fire.
Alright, that's off. I mean, you can't really... Considering how much they jam maps full of shit, and like the lack of pathways to avoid said shit, you kind of literally are like kind of forced into combat. You can play it, you can play in a very gamified sense with like stealth girl backpack, and like you can micromanage or like the awareness meters and play it properly. But I wouldn't even call that stealth gameplay. I would call that just playing like a very gamified version of their stealth, right? I'm like, it is kind of subjective naturally, but like I wouldn't call the current stealth gameplay in this game like stealth. It's more of just like the gamified mechanic of stealth, right? Which I guess is like every game, right? But like essentially what I'm alluding to here in the sense is that even when you're playing stealthy in this game, it doesn't actually feel like you're being stealthy. It just feels like you're just managing the awareness meters of enemies really well. And because sometimes that will mean doing things that like do not seem stealthy, right? Like sprinting by enemies. Because sometimes it's better just to sprint by, because you can get around them before they can see you, as opposed to like actually waiting. Once again, with the stealth girl backpack, you need to basically, like, this only works with the stealth girl backpack, because it basically removes any audio sound. Enemies will hear you run by them if you run by them, but like with that backpack, you can sprint right by them. Thieves, I'm not sure if I agree with that sentiment. I'm not sure how much of that's just I do not think the game has ever been any more stealthy in any period of its launch. There was just the expectation from players earlier on where they felt like they needed to be stealthy, right? Because they didn't understand the game yet. Like, one of the big aspects of like the early part of this game, right, back in like, you know, September and October of last year, was realizing that stealth is actually something that you shouldn't actively try and do. It's much better to just like run and gun and kill things in your way. There's never not been the case where you should just actively kill enemies in your way, because it's much worse if they start shooting you first. And remember, back in the day too, right, when enemies were not as lethal, you could heal through their damage with medkits. Like they've removed that sense, right, or made enemies much more damaging, so they can out damage your medkits. But back in September of October last year, right, you could pop an advanced medkit and they would not be able to out DPS the medkit. I feel like the stealth babble quest is like a fucking meme. It's just like, yeah, good luck avoiding the 5 million fucking drones. I'm sure it's doable, but like I feel like it's almost like one of those quests where you have to pray for good RNG, as opposed to like it's a quest that feels like it's RNG based, not like skill based. Like there's probably a floor of skill that you need to do it, but a lot of that past that is just going to be the RNG of like, do you get unlucky with drone spawns? You could do so many things to drones. Once again, you know, circling back to the earlier conversation here, it is like hysterically funny and wild that they were like, hey, you know what everyone likes right now in the game? Drones. You know what'd be great? If we made an entire map based off drones. That's what players enjoy, right? Well, Blood, the issue is, right, how do you suggest that? are you saying they should be more lethal, or are you saying that they should be more tanky, or you shouldn't have much ammo to kill a whole squad? Or are you saying that their AI should be so good that it's hard to kill them? Because like that's without making enemies just tankier, that's always going to be an issue, right? Of like, you're gonna be able to kill enemies pretty quickly, right? Otherwise, if you're gonna have Division 2 problems. Like even Fear, a game touted well for its AI, right? Like the enemies in Fear were pretty squishy, right? And their lethality was because they do lots of damage to you. And like there was, don't get me wrong, there were tanky enemies too in Fear, but they weren't like the common enemy type. Yeah, but like that's also gets to the problem too, right? Where like you have the enemy density and the pathway issues too, right? Where like every single pathway. The problem is this, Blood Panda. It's not as simple as just making the AI better. It's systemic, right? It's multifaceted. It's a bunch of different systems that don't exist or not doing their job properly, right? Like, reinforcing the rat playstyle isn't just, you know, about making enemies lethal enough to the point where, like, just because enemies kill you quickly and having unkillable lethal enemies doesn't make your game an anti-shooter. Having mechanics and systems that reinforce players not using their guns makes it a game an anti-shooter. And I feel like that's like the breakdown, right? In the sense of it's once again, I feel like a surface, it's once again going back to the analogy of like, you have seen a house, but oh god, are we getting into the allegory of the cave? Oh god, no, no, we're not doing Plato today. Maybe later. It's once again the thing of just like, you know the terminology, you've seen a house before, right? And so you go build your own house. You go build your own house without understanding of all of the things underneath that make that house up, right? Like, you build a house but don't understand there's plumbing to include inside. It's like, oh shit, where does the toilet go? I guess we have to build an outhouse now. Yeah, Mr. Grooves does not want to hear the allegory of the cave, which I 100% understand. Though I will say, for those of you who have never heard of the allegory of the cave before, it's like one of the more famous philosophical kind of concepts. It's important, I think, you go watch it like, there's plenty of videos on it, right? If you've never gone into philosophy or never learned about the allegory of the cave, I would say go watch it. It's an interesting watch. There's plenty of videos on it, I'm sure of it. Probably animated videos too. But like, it's a good way of like essentially just like framing your mind a bit better, right? Or just like understanding that like just because you see something doesn't mean it's the underlying issue at hand, or lots of other things too. You could just be seeing a shadow, not just the actual thing itself. And because you never actually see the thing itself, actually I'm gonna stop. I'm going too much into this. I told myself I wouldn't do this. I'm doing it right now. Okay, we're stopping. We're not doing Play-Doh. We're moving on. All right, Scorched Enclave. Before we go back into Play-Doh again.
die here.
But no, yeah, like there is the issue too, right? Where like, yeah, just like there's nothing in the game that really. The decoy grenades are a great first step. I actually probably think the decoy grenades are probably how you might actually need to do that quest, right? In Babel is just spam the shit out of decoy grenades. Maybe we'll try that actually. I'll probably have to turn on no HUD again or turn on the HUD again to actually do that quest. But it might be doable with like a shit ton of decoy grenades. Yes, Mr. Grooves, it was very nice. No one's giving you your props. Ow. Wait, how does the decoy grenade work then? I actually have not used the decoy grenade yet. How does it work if it's not that? Does it actually like aggro them but it attracts them to the decoy grenade? Wait, what? Oh yeah, so like you'd use them proactively, right? That would be the secret. Is like you just like you spam the living shit out of them to distract everyone. I probably need to figure out how they actually work though, right? Because I have not actually used them yet. Oh no, the jam grenade's worthless. The second I learned that the jam grenade doesn't actually stop HKs from like getting summoned, worthless. Oh no, why? Why am I supposed to care about reputation at all?
Oh shit, taking fire.
What do you mean we have IEDs? Do you not enjoy the IED, Mr. Grooves? I mean, I can understand why they did it, Sugar, but like, the reason why they added it is because they don't, like, the system they're probably putting into place to actually, it feels like something they, like, we need to add this in because, you know, we're gonna make reputation a lot harder to, like, gain and lose. I don't know, it just, yeah, I don't know. It feels like a solution to a problem that doesn't currently exist. And considering how, like, awkward grenades are to use too right now, it just does not... I cannot stress this enough. It doesn't seem like... I can understand why they currently did it the way they did. Oh, I'll turn the HUD on. I can understand how they did it the way they did, but for me to, like, have... Like, it just... For me personally, like having to pull it out, see a trajectory, let it go, and like it's just like a really anemic throw, right? It just has so much, like, I don't know, I can't ever see myself using grenades because of how awkward they are to use, and like how slow they are to actually get a response from, like, even Tarkov is better because, like, at least in Tarkov when you pull out grenades, the throw isn't anemic and the explosive is actually, like, really strong, right? and you can quick tap too. Like, it's a lot of different things. Like the lob trajectory plus the slow velocity plus the general anemic results you get from the actual grenade itself just lines up to a very unsatisfactory experience with the grenades.
I knew I'd find you again.
I'm still looking for like actual containers here for weapon tech. Like, what the hell? There's not one down. Like, it's like bad RNG today, I guess, on this map. There's not that many more container areas, really. I guess the central area. You can just hear the medkits going off over and over because it's a small medkits. More small medkits to the pile. No. Alright, anything up here, or are we good? I mean, yes, but also, like, if the grenades weren't so anemic, you would actually have use cases, like, for example, 600 bullets is fine and all, but you still can only, like, put out a certain amount of bullets per time period, right? So, like, if you're trying to fight a squad, like, if grenades were actually, like, felt good, it would make a lot more sense, right? To, like, use a grenade as opposed to, like, bullets. It's just that, like, yeah, the effect of grenades plus their, like, the friction of using them just, yeah, you're better off bringing more bullets. Granted, I think, like, the weight, I think it doesn't weigh that much, though. Oh, you want to drill? Alright, well, that's not happening then. What you aiming at? Okay, bye. I think it's a big problem too, right? Like,
Narrow but clean exit.
they're very focused on aesthetics, but not about the feeling, right? And the feeling is so, like, art isn't only art because of, like, how cool it looks, right? Art is art because of the feeling you get when you look at art, right? And the, like, how you interact with that art, right? And so, like, it feels like sometimes we're missing half that picture. So I'm gonna bring a bunch of grenades in, and we're gonna go have some fun on Scrapyard. But like, you're gonna kind of it's gonna feel underwhelming, I think. Maybe it won't, but like overall, I think grenades feel pretty underwhelming. Let's go over actually to Bagman so we can bring Painless in too. Or Safety Painless. But like, it's the same thing with the guns too, right? Guns just don't have that feeling behind them. All right, HUD on just for this little fight here.
I'll tell your friends.
I mean, aren't there a few, like, maybe not... Are there, like, canister shots for grenade launchers, though? Maybe I'm crazy? That did not kill a single cyborg. So it bounces around, it takes a second to explode. Alright, I got 2 of them eventually. The world's slowest trajectory. And anemic results, yeah. Yeah, if you need 3 to 4 to kill a cyborg though, like what's the point of using it over just like, say, a shotgun then? Like, it's also like I'm having to like deal with it like it being lobbed too, right? Yeah, like here's this cybernetic man who can carry like 1.3 thousand kilograms of equipment, but has to like lob a grenade like that. Oh my god, you're fucking tanky. Alright, that was a lot of grenades for not a lot. Maybe we can see a little bit better stuff going on over here with the regular enemies. Alright, everyone just ignore the civilians. So like, yeah, 2 to 3 grenades, or I guess 3 grenades to kill infantry. Like, okay, it doesn't need to like one-shot cyborgs, but like it needs to like one-shot something, right? Does it even one-shot Europas? See, and once again, it's lobbing, so it's not, just let me throw it in front of me. So like, we don't have roof clearance here, right? So it's like wanting to lob it. So it one-shots one enemy type. It one-shots your open soldiers. I feel like it's easier, Mr. Grooves, just to like have it just be like a regular grenade throw for most games, where like it throws where you're looking at. So if you want to throw it further, you aim up. God damn it. Didn't it show me green? Hold on here. Wait a gosh darn second. You need to stop. I'm busy. Okay, there it goes. My god. Well, that's a big thing too, right? Like, having just, like, skill throws rewards players for learning. One of the core tenets of gameplay. Like, letting players get better at your game by introducing things that takes time to learn is a great aspect of games. Players feeling like they're getting better is intrinsically rewarding. And like, having your game just like have like time barriers in place to like unlock shit is not satisfactory in comparison to like having players learn how to use tools the right way to get the intended results that they want. I think any implementation that like basically shows you a trajectory, I don't mind the trajectory being an option for players who want that. That's a quality of life feature, not what I would consider to be the base, right? The base for me is I look and I throw and the grenade throws in front of me toward that direction. And I learn through playing what that means, right? Like if I'm gonna throw a grenade from here to here, do I need to look right there or aim up a little bit or aim down a little bit? And like it being consistent, right, of like how hard it throws informs me how I need to look to throw the grenade, as opposed to me having some extra level of like interpretation where I have to hit G first, see the trajectory, line up the trajectory, and then lob a grenade. And I feel like what they currently have into place, if you want to throw up, the way of doing that is looking up. So yes, I mean like CS or COD style throwing grenades, or Battlefield, or like literally any shooter. And I'm not saying they get rid of what they currently have for lobs. That's a perfectly fine alternate aim. But like, the alternate aim shouldn't be the one you're trying to do under duress. It's the one that you're doing when you have time and you're in cover to plan accordingly and lob a grenade. Why do you have so many bullets? I would like to remind everyone that the drones, neither European or Eurasian, have modeled guns on them. This has been a PSA brought to you by Kilpo, who is currently crashing out about how fucking annoying drones are. If you're gonna have a flying unit within your game be ubiquitous and omnipresent throughout the game, your map design has to give you aerial cover. My God. It feels at this point, why do they even bother having infantry when the drones can just do anything? It's not that they have free movement, so they're technically fast because they don't have to go through, they don't have to obey the laws of terrain, right? They can get around cover from flying above you or just shooting above you, right? They basically ignore any cover you have. They do really good DPS considering that they're everywhere, and also on top of that, they're pretty tanky. They don't have a weak spot at all, so you can't blow them up pretty easily. And like, they take a few shots with most guns to kill. And not to mention too, they're usually not in individuals, they're usually in packs of 2 or 3. And not to mention too, they're usually not alone, they're usually like around infantry of another faction or their faction, right? So like it's just so much. Oh, let's go play Babel. That will help me out. I'm sure Babel will feel great. Oh yeah, they don't stagger. They don't react to getting shot at all. They have, because their gun doesn't exist and it just spawns from the center of them, they can shoot in anywhere around them. They don't have a firing arc, it's just they're gonna fire at you. Alright, don't mind me guys, I gotta wait for the decoy grenades to be made. Give me like, I guess, 5 minutes. Why? 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 If you're gonna make a faux live service game, if you're gonna make a faux live service game, sure, advertise that, please. Oh, the stream won't end early today. No, I always go. I'm always consistent. Don't you worry. All right, where is it? That's what I'm saying though too, right? Like I'm perfectly fine because it is what it is, but like there are so many experiences, right, where I'm just like, hey, by the way, like this mechanic or this thing you have in the game is rage inducing, and like this will make more casual players immediately put down, refund, or uninstall your game. And like that's all fine and well if you're okay with that, but you can't then complain about them giving you a negative review. Like, you can make the game you want to make, but like don't be upset when other people don't like that game. Don't think I've seen a Orgamech before. Wait, actually, I don't think I've had issues with Soul. There's been a few frustrating, definitely areas of Souls games, but like generally speaking, I don't know. There definitely are issues with Soul games. Don't get me wrong, but like I don't know. It does definitely feel like there's gotten less of those, right, over time. All right, so we're gonna go over to Scav Girl. I will say, running the stealth backpack does have a downside, but I guess you can't really. I guess if you're trying to be sneaky, you can't really go up the left way anyway, because there's packs that spawn there all the time. I actually don't know where these cameras are too. That'll be fun. Why? What purpose does it serve for me to wait? Okay, so this, I know someone mentioned this earlier. This kind of goes back to my point of sense too, right? Like, if they can't just make ammunition more scarce, because all that does is mean you now have to grind for ammunition, right? And stockpile it up. Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the concept of like stockpiling stuff, but when there's no context to like cost of time to those, it just feels like an arbitrary grind, right? Like, say for example, the IRL water system still existed. I'm not saying it should, I'm just saying for example, like the cost of you grinding and stockpiling ammunition under the IRL timer is that it's costing you some of that timer, right? Like, you cannot farm ammunition forever. You're going to have the issue with water eventually, right? You can't ignore, you know, your survival for only ammunition. And in that light, right, that's kind of how I view, like, you need to make sure that if you're gonna add like scarcity into the game, it's contextualized by other systems. But like, for example, this weight right here for this, like, this craft doesn't have anything to contextualize it, right? So it's just a weight to wait for. There is no reason behind the weight other than making the player wait. All right, we'll bring in some shotgun ammo for like a get out of jail free card, but like we are trying to be stealthy here. And I do not imagine this will work at all because this is my first time doing it, but we'll see. Marked with red paint on the wall is good to know.
Don't leave anything on the cutting room floor.
Like, so like up there, Michael? That road? So even if we fail this time, I'm just like kind of curious to like where it's gonna be. That was a bug. That wasn't aggro. That was the bug. Sir, please move. Alright. I'm assuming one's gonna be over there, because why wouldn't it be? Yeah, can I make that jump? I don't think so without magic jump, I don't think. Alright, let's try you out. Alright, well, let me save my grenade then. Okay, I can see one over there. I can see that little red eye over there. Let me find a few of the other ones, I guess. My brother in Christ. I mean, there's a red X right there. Is there one up here potentially? Why are you guys still aggroed? I'm gonna die, oh well. Man, if that bug could be fixed, I'd be so happy. I think the first thing Michael was probably leaving so I don't lose all my decoy grenades. I just lost, I guess it was a shotgunner. Yeah, it's just bad timing, unfortunately. Once again, how do you, I will say, how do you be stealthy on a map that just has like 5,000 enemies around every corner? Alright, let's go crafting. And you provide no stealthy avenues for scavs to actually do it from. Alright. Get crafting. I wonder if it's a mistake to actually use a stealth backpack and not try and use the pneumatic jump. I think the stealth backpack's really strong, don't get me wrong, but I think it might actually just be better to like have the utility of a jump pack. Alright, we'll get our one grenade, because I don't want to wait in a minute. Run it back. I had to pick it up again, actually. There we go. Yeah, I'm familiar with lots of the jump spots on the map. It's just more of like, was it worth it to bring a jump pack over a stealth backpack? No, I'm good. I'm playing the game as intended, Michael. That minute waits in the game for a reason. It adds value to the game. It means that each of these decoy grenades are so valuable because it's a minute of my time gone. This is the real downside of failing. Having to re-get the quest again, my god. Let me take you off the pool. So you stop showing up. Oh. Interesting, that's not the first time that's happened. For me doing the spam repeats. I'm kind of guessing there might actually be like a scenario where, yeah, if you spam quests, it eventually fails. Interesting. That or it just did not want to give me the quest again. It was like, go take a break. Anyway. Come on. I mean, that's the second time it's happened to me though, spam re-rolling, and it crashed my game. My god, game. Really? Or is this a joke? This a meme? No, there it goes again. I mean, that's reproducible at this point. And the weird thing is too, I can submit this bug report, and they're gonna be like, I mean, just don't do that then. Well, John, it goes back to the whole thing too, right? Of like, there's no reason not to spam quests right now, just because like, there's, yeah, like there's, if there was a passage of time in the game, it would make sense why you can't just easily reset quests, but otherwise, yeah, like right now. Needs context. I mean, I don't really want to crush my game again. We'll give it like one more shot, I guess. Well, Una boss. Come on. Is it? I honestly feel at this point it's not supposed to give it to me, right? Like, it feels almost malicious at this point. Like, this is actually getting to the point where it's kind of weird. How it's not shown up again. I mean, it's just bad RNG, right? But, like, still. Yeah, but, like, at the same time, this has been a lot of refreshes to not see that one quest again. I guess we'll just run Babel and come back and we'll see if it's there again. Maybe it's like a cooldown. I don't know. Let's go play pseudo stealth. Let's blend the route.
Time to carve him up.
Yeah, I have to act like I don't want it. So I'm thinking like over here first, right? Is that an exo? Come the fuck on, genuinely? Why are you even on this map? You're not agile enough for this map. It feels like you would just fall off. Also, I would like to highlight too, here's a mental problem, right? You have this like map with all of these buildings and rooms. Why would the Europa soldiers just not be inside the rooms themselves to like take refuge and shoot out? And I know it's a game, but like at the same time, like why would you, like, you know, if you're getting spammed by drones? We're gonna be in a fucking death loop here now. Oh, we're good. Okay, sick. Why would you like not just like take refuge in the buildings and shoot out from the buildings? Is that supposed to be that color? Or is that my GPU dying? Because, Michael, I can't be bothered to refresh my quests anymore. I'm tired. And I didn't want to change anything else either. Like, this up here could be a good pathway through. It's still pink. The only problem is there are enemies that can spawn in there, right? Which kind of just means it's RNG. Yeah, it's gone now, I think. So it's just like, it's like some weird LD or like LOD issue, perhaps. I mean, those are kind of pink too, right? But are they supposed to be that color, or that's just like a texture issue? Yeah, I don't think they're pink anymore. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong building, though. I think it's above this one. I don't think it's pink anymore. I think it's just a texture issue.
Bad luck today.
Alright, that's one. Goodbye. Alright, that's done. Be free. Why are you heading toward the helicopter? That's not freedom, that's death. I won! Alright, medical supplies. I said medical supplies. MRE's medical supplies, right?
More for the grab and go bag.
Alright, time to leave. Yeah, I feel like it's just gonna be like RNG of like getting to the right, doing the camera, and getting to the left and doing the camera. I still need to find the cameras over here though. Can you define by jank controls, like, and actually describe your pain points?
Christmas.
Oh yeah, I need a bit more than just jank controls.
Burn, baby, burn.
Alright, let's see if we can't find the actual quest we want. Or will we crash again? Like, movement, gunplay, just like, are you running into things and getting blocked? Like, there's... I need to know a little bit more than just, like, movement bad. Your camera would get stuck when you looked in the east direction. No option. I mean, no option roll to crouch. I guess is like makes sense. Like you want a. There's toggle for crouch, and then there's like there's two different options. The close soldier, the dash felt a bit weird. The dash, like in like the dodge, or like the dash in the sense of you like sprinting around. The camera getting stuck I haven't experienced, but like, hold on, I can maybe replicate that. That's usually just how the boom operates in UE5, but let me see if I can articulate, like, when you mean like camera gets close, right? Do you mean like this? Like when you're like against terrain walls and like the camera gets really close because it kind of has to? I guess like, or you mean like stuff like this too, for example, when like your camera goes behind like terrain perhaps. And when you mean dash, do you mean like sprinting like this, or do you mean like this? Yeah, I'm not. Are you playing with controller or are you playing with mouse and keyboard? I know they're continually working on controller support. No, I mean, like, yeah, I never use these because, yeah, these are awful, and I don't think they do that much. But yeah, like this is like because the game is animation locking you, right? I never thought this has never felt good to me. Yeah, don't ignore dash. It doesn't exist. I never use it because it's animation lock, right? I hate animation locks. They are continually improving movement, Noya, to my knowledge, but like, there are going to be bugs. There's bugs, right? Like, I have never experienced, I think, the camera issue you're describing, right? I know they're working on moving stuff like that, Noya. Like, don't get me wrong, they are working on movement. I'm not sure if, like, they're going to be working on things that your exact pain points, but I know they are, like, continually working on movement and stuff like that, right? Oh, I mean, that's part of the game, though. I mean, like, that's a design choice, right? Like, the no, like, sprinting left and right, it's just side strafing. Like, you're not supposed to feel like a super soldier. There's supposed to be a little bit of friction when moving around, right? Now, friction, like, by design and friction by accident is two different things, right? Like, friction from you getting stuck on terrain, not good. Friction from, like, you having to, like, move within the movement system of the game, it's a different story entirely. Like, I personally don't mind this. I do think the A and D key should have some actual extra, like, features to them when you're sprinting. Yeah, like, not being able to, like, shift your, like, momentum in air, too, is a design choice. Lots of games will usually let you give you some ability to change your momentum mid-air. This game does not. Some games do, that's perfectly fine. I will think, like, they do, I do think they need to add a little bit of extra features for A and D when you're sprinting. Like, the way I generally see it is that, like, it should mainly just provide a feature for players who prefer using A and D to have some extra additional, like, feature sets when they're moving, right? That isn't like a cheat in comparison to mouse and keyboard, right? So right now when you're moving forward, like, A and D do nothing, but I do think they should provide you some, like, a little bit of extra movement, right? Like, so as opposed to, like, if I'm holding A right now, right, as opposed to going straight forward, it does like this, where it kind of, like, leans you this way, right? So you can do that with mouse, but if you prefer doing that, say, with your keyboard instead, that's a perfectly fine quality of life thing, right? And also means that the A and D keys aren't absolutely useless when sprinting. But, like, the full, like, sprinting sideways thing, I think a lot of that comes from, like, you're carrying a giant, like, heavy backpack on your back. They don't want you to give you tons of mobility, right? They don't want you to feel like you're skating with nothing on you when you're actually carrying hundreds and hundreds of kilos on you. Alright, quest. I feel like the game is trying to get you not to do the Babel quest anymore. It's like, save yourself. Don't embrace misery. You know what, for contrast, let's go to Cemetery, right? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Cemetery, but, like, at the same time, Cemetery understands, at least in some capacity, that, like, they can't throw 5,000 million things at you if they want you to approach a map stealthily. It doesn't work. Like, remember, like, Cemetery is not very, like, Cemetery has a decent amount of density of units that you have to avoid, but it's not, like, they're not everywhere, right? There are pathways around. Now, I think the pathways should probably change here and there. Like, right now, the pathways are always static. You go a certain way to be stealthy. I have no idea for metagame updates.
Still alive.
Will we even ever get one? I have no idea. Alright, we can go back to no HUD mode. I mean, well, Noya, 100%, no, I agree with you. I have gotten used to it 100%. But if you're comparing this game to a movement shooter, that's going to always feel worse. It's not trying to be a movement shooter. Like, if your point of reference is saying that the game should be, like, movement smoother smooth in its animations and its movement, that's kind of like, yeah, you're never going to be satisfied in that capacity. because those games spend most of their time developing good movement. Like, if, like, I would compare its movement more to Tarkov than to, like, Ultra Kill. Like, yeah, if you're comparing this game's movement to Ultra Kill, yeah, you're gonna not feel satisfied, but, like, it's not trying to be Ultra Kill. But in comparison to, like, say, Tarkov's movement, it feels better than Tarkov, because Tarkov has a lot of friction behind its movement. Now, there's plenty of issues in this game's movement, like, for example, terrain you get stuck on, which Tarkov doesn't have, really. That just comes with time and polishing and fixing those little bubbles, or those issues here and there. Yeah, the only thing, John, is I wish they advertised it as that, right? I still am, like, firmly in the camp that I don't think their advertising is very, If I was trying to be a responsible marketer, which I'm not sure if those are terms you can use together, I would not use a lot of the words they use to describe their game currently. No, yeah, there are definitely plenty of quality of life things, like, for example, your toggle crouch, or, like, you know, hold crouch is a great example of, right, like, yeah, that's a quality of life thing they haven't considered. There's definitely plenty of those in the game that they should consider, right? That's just, like, literally a thing that's like an auto-include in games, right? Some people prefer to toggle crouch, some prefer to hold crouch. Nope, there's not, Florian. You can take missions as slow as you want or as fast as you want. Thanks, Captain. Appreciate it. Alright, to freedom.
I hope the bastards at home appreciate.
Yeah, it depends on the map. Sometimes some maps will do it better than others, but yeah. You can just sit on Babel and go AFK and there'll be fights constantly happening around you. But a map like Scorched Enclave, right? Sometimes you have to, like, be in a certain area for respawns to happen. Nope. I guess the quests were like, nope, we're not gonna make you do stealth mode anymore. All right. What map are we doing now? We haven't done the stairway today. Maybe that means we're gonna get night shift, right? Night shift stairway. Bring our jump in. What gun do I want? SVD? I'll go versus Cyborgs. Which 308 do I have? Not a lot, but enough. No, all of it, please. There we go. And then a few shotgun rounds for backup for Cyborgs. And we're good. Nope, never lucky.
Every run tells a slightly different story.
We get the bad version of Stairway. Yeah, just don't scrutinize too much. The facade might break. What the hell just hit me? Grenade launcher? Probably, I guess. Yep, there it is. Yep, yep. I can barely even see you. Alright, he's dead. They've been doing Noya about an update every single month for like the last couple months. Like, we've been on monthly patches, I think, since March, essentially. Now, I mean, they are good-sized patches, but like, because they are monthly, they are like, you know, they're never gigantic patches. They're not small either, like, they're like middling patches, basically. I mean, that's definitely the main selling point of the game right now, is the atmosphere, for sure. Hey, Captain. And if, I mean, if you look around too, there's always some safe spots you can always find also to look around with. Like up here. And you're like, this doesn't look right. Because we're not supposed to be up here, that's why. I never actually tried to see how far I can go out to the right here. This is, I mean, this is assuredly gonna kill me. There's gonna be a point where this is no longer real. I feel like it's coming soon. We're safe for now. I think there's a void now to our right. Yeah, it's a void. We can't make it any farther to the right, unfortunately. Alright, let's head back in before we fall to our death. And we're safe. Oh god. Oh god. Alright, well, we were safe. Now we're safe again. Let's go back downstairs. Just want to not fall off. There we go. Perfect. I think John, the secret is actually only bringing a VKS when Reggie's not here. We'll have to do a Reggie watch. Hey, Trudge. I'll have to like look at the viewer list of people watching, make sure Reggie's not here, and then put on the VKS. Well, I mean, he's an addict, right? You can't do what the addict wants in front of him, right? Otherwise, it's just fulfilling his need. We're trying to wean Reiji off the VKS, so you can't just do it in front of him. Would you drink alcohol in front of an alcoholic? Am I out of meds? Yeah, man, shit, okay. Well, it's probably time to leave already. Any meds on you? I mean, technically, yes, dirt. Yes, blood? What do you mean? This is a safe space for Reiji. We're trying to help Reiji recover, right? I will say, with the increased aggression, and the squad linking, it makes it really hard sometimes to understand, like, how much attention you've actually drawn with your firing. I wonder how much of this is like because things are just too quiet. It's not evil. Oh, a little drug, little drug, little drug.
This won't be the end of us.
All right. Need to escape before I die. I'm not sure how low I am. I mean, listen, we all understand that the VKS is really bad, and therefore it's bad for Reiji. Like, I mean, I guess the only reason why you would actually thoroughly enjoy the VKS is if you really, really like the reload animation, right? Like, you love the reload animation so much, you want to see it constantly, while you're getting mauled by a pack of cyborgs you can't kill. Because of, you know, yeah. The VKS doesn't kill things. Whee! Alright, we're good. Well, we did our court-mandated one session of Stairway today. Because of the vibe. I mean, George, that's perfectly fair, and that's probably the best time, right, is when you're actually just a tourist in the game, and you're just kind of vibing. The game feels its best when you're just vibing with it, and not trying to actually, like, engage with its systems too thoroughly. So yeah, just, you know, do quests, run around, vibe, survive. That's when the game feels at its best. Alright. We haven't done an elephant in a while. Well, like, that's a big part too, right? It's like, I do really like when games throw curveballs at you, and you kind of do have to shift and change your goals around, right, sometimes. Or rather, you have to double down sometimes too and just, like, pursue your goal regardless, depending on, like, situations where, like, you might have a goal, and because, say, Mr. Grooves, like, but like the game clearly telegraphing to you, despite you needing to fulfill this goal, that it's going to be hard because of X, Y, and Z that makes sense. But you having to do it anyway out of need. Like say, for example, you're gonna, you know, die of thirst if you don't. It is cool stuff. You know, they've definitely done a good job optimizing the game. There's still plenty of people who have issues, but like every single patch thus far, they've been doing good work on the optimization front. All right. All right, free civilians. Am I killing Red Baron yet? Maybe. If we're killing Red Baron, we're not doing it via Shaman. Yeah, Frozen Swamp's the biggest map, and I honestly, I still think out of all the maps, the Frozen Swamp map is the only map that feels anywhere complete. I think all their maps are too small for their own good. Because, like, all of the maps have, like, all of the smaller maps have issues where, like, there's not enough areas between them that can have varying levels of risk, right? If you're ever gonna have progression and you're gonna have areas that are like high risk, high reward and that require like a certain level of gear, you can't really do that right now without having the whole map be that way.
Our choices matter.
You kind of like have to make Babel the whole like high risk area, or you have to make like Scrapyard the whole high risk area, right? Because like they only really have one POI between them, you know, the map itself. Yeah, I mean, Trudge, that's a big big thing. More optimization in the sense of like on the game front, right? It's nice, right? Just for them to optimize. I do really, and this is kind of a tangent from what you're saying, I think. Might be misinterpreting you. I really do hope they pursue kind of the feeling over a lot of other, I don't want them to get bogged down and doing milsim shit. I want them to get bogged down in making the player feel a certain way from certain things, right? Like, I want their guns to, like, I don't want to get characters to memorize spray patterns. I want characters or players to memorize, like, how a gun feels and how they need to respond to how that gun shoots. Like up and to the left, right? Like it might vary like on up and out, like on how it does its control up and to the left, but like predominantly like a certain gun will shoot and it will go up and to the left, right? Which means that, you know, the feeling you have for the gun is that like you need to pull down and to the right. And then you can like, you know, do like, you know, power things, right? Too, where more powerful the gun is, the more impulsive it is in regards to recoil control, right? So like the player can feel the power of the gun by the increased, you know, control they need to exert on the gun itself when they're firing it. And those are things that the player never needs to like directly engage in if they don't want to, but they can feel it, right? And like, for example, say if there's certain factors that you really like about a gun, like say for example, you really like making controllable guns, then attachments can help you do that, right? Attachments should be about making your gun feel better as opposed to like getting into nitty gritties about like certain numbers. A game like this shouldn't be about min-maxing stats. And I weirdly, in a way too, I actually think them displaying numeric numbers to the that's so fucking redundant. Numeric numbers, yeah, you're welcome. Numbers to the players might actually be a mistake, right? Because you're drawing emphasis away from the feeling of how guns perform. And like, there's still be plenty of players who will break it down and figure out where your numbers are relatively around, but like, those are players actively wanting to do that, right? Which is perfectly fine. It's not just immediately presented to them. Because like, there's plenty of conversations, for example, on the feedback area of the Discord where it's like, you know, X does, you know, the FAL does 175 and the, you know, the RPK does 175. This is why this is wrong. They should not be the same. As opposed to the RPK and SA58 just feel the same and they should be different. Noya, in a way, right? Like, well, some maps yes, some maps no, right? Like, Frozen Swamp is much more of an open sandbox than a scenario, but a map like Scrapyard is much more of a scenario than an open world map, yes. So it's map dependent, but the game predominantly leans more on the smaller scenario-oriented maps right now. There's only really, like, I guess 2-ish maps you could kind of say are like open world-ish, which is Mesa and then Swamp. But I'm not even sure if I would include Mesa in that list, to be honest. But like, they do have a thing called variants, right? Like, so maps will have certain like presets or variants, mainly determined by lighting and enemy spawns. Essentially, most maps will have a night variant, right? And so, like, those maps with scenarios might have some extra kind of RNG injected inside of them by, like, having a nighttime shift or having, like, a different time of day shift, right? With different spawns. Like, Scrapyard does it really well, right? Like, Scrapyard's a pretty renowned map because it's a very small map that's kind of combat focused. You can still do it stealthily if you really want to, but it really kind of pushes players toward combat. And if it wasn't for the fact that it had 3 massive different variants on it that spawn different units and kind of play a little bit differently, it would be not a very good map in my opinion. However, because it has so many different variants that will, you know, that will happen all the time, you know, there's slight amounts of variation in how it plays, which is nice and refreshing, right? So, like, as long as they can make those scenario maps interesting from having lots of variants to them, I think they're perfectly fine. It's just that a lot of those scenario maps right now don't really have that.
Keep your finger out.
Like, for example, Babel plays basically the same way every single time right now. And granted, Babel is the newer map, it's just rough. Alright, do the trench lines, and then out. I mean, George, I have no problem asking, like, you asking questions, man. That's what I'm here for. You can ask as many questions as you want. Go crazy. It is learned, right? The game is easier single player than co-op. Like, you can approach the game somewhat stealthily in solo, not all the time, but somewhat. In co-op, like, you're just gonna be in combat all the time. The game is actually much harder in co-op. But no, it's just learning things, and like, it's just kind of learning like certain factors too, right? Like, the marketing of the game kind of asks you or presents you that you should be stealthy and that you shouldn't shoot. The game doesn't play like that right now, right? It's actually the best way of being stealthy is being pretty proactive in what you're killing. I did probably leave some out of meds. Alright. Fucking soldier factory. And you kind of have to plan for combat too all the time, because like, this is gonna happen now more. Like, they've increased the radius in which enemies aggro to each other. And so, like, you're gonna have lots of these scenarios, right, where you're gonna have just streams of enemies for a bit. Especially with respawns. I do ultimately think they need to tone down respawns by a fucking ton. Kinda, sort of, yeah. The game has more smaller maps than it has bigger maps, right? And there's not progression in the game currently, right? Like, the progression is to come eventually. So, like, if we go over to maps here, like, I would consider Scorched Enclave a scenario, Scrapyard's a scenario, Babel's a scenario, Stairway's a scenario, Cemetery's a scenario. Frozen Swamp is like a true open world map with a few different POIs. It's still not perfect, but like out of all of the maps, it's like, you know, the pinnacle on the hill. Mesa is like kind of there. Mesa has a lot of issues in regards to like, it's got 3 major POIs, but those POIs aren't very fleshed out enough. Unlike Frozen Swamp, where like they're kind of shallow, but like you can consider this open world or not too far away from it. Mech Trench is sort of open worldy, but the problem with Mech Trench is I would consider Mech Trench more of a scenario map because it really only has one central POI, but like it's kind of got different rooms in it. Ashen Mesa is pretty close to Frozen, but it like compare like any of the areas like Shantytown or Bunker to the injector site, they're not really comparable in regards to like their depth, right? Like I still rate Mesa pretty highly, but like it is a somewhat shallow map. You know what? You know, we're you know, let's go play some Frozen Swamp over here then. Some buttering it all up. All right. Go ahead and buy some 45. All right, read across the board here, and we're good. Yeah, and that's kind of ultimately reason diet why like I like Mesa a lot, but like it leaves a lot to be desired because like it just feels like so many of the areas just, in a way, I kind of feel like as opposed to like having the chaos of Mesa, it'd be a much more interesting, say for example, if like one side of like say for example, as opposed to like right now you have the Titan side and then you have the non-Titan side, so Euruska and Eurasia fighting, or Euruska and Europa fighting, you know, left to right. It'd be more interesting if they were fighting from like top to down, right? Like one side controls the bunker, one side controls Shantytown, and they're fighting across this chasm here. Because what you can do there is you can create a no man's land in the center of the map that has like maybe very expensive loot around. But the big thing is you create 2 high-risk areas on each side that aren't actively in combat and are full of patrols, right? And like, if you want to go infiltrate those backline areas, you can do that and try to find some of their supplies, right? Oh no, thieves, yeah, that's the crawler, the Titan on Mesa is just infinite cyborgs. Infinite cyborgs, the respawn is endless. But no, yeah, we have the like massive site here, which like there's not all that much stuff inside of it, but it's like the most of what we have so far. We have Shantytown, then we have the crawler over there, and then the train yard. So like really 4 major POIs. You kind of have the fields over here, which has like scattered stuff around in containers that you could kind of consider a POI, but not really. Tons of drones though. All right, let's see if the chopper's here. I might blow it up and see Captain Shed. Don't need explosives if that's the case. There we go. Explosives.
Must take a moment to appreciate the good things.
Let's go up to the right. Hey, the hell? I mean, yeah, like any game, right? Like, yeah, learning the maps does help, right? And I will say, like, this is one of the few maps that actually has alternate pathing on it. Not all of the maps will really present you with that many choices in regards to going to certain areas or not. Like Stairway, for example. Stairway is up or down the staircase. There's, not really any pathing considerations, really. Alright, Mr. Helicopter. You might, Mr. Helicopter. Turret, no. He should be here any second now. There he is. You're right, Captain Chen. What did that cyborg do to you? Aren't you guys allies? Yeah, my HUD turned back on. Off. All right, Captain Chen. Just rolling around. Oh, is that him? It's a squad baby. Yeah, the audio is sweet. I'm still kind of like concerned why he's murdering a cyborg. Like, aren't they friends? Oh. There. Can he even jump up? Whatever, I'm not gonna question it too much. He can jump wherever he wants to. Sir, you're not wearing a helmet. This is not fair. It's mainly because, like, the HUD isn't bad, but, like, I'll show you, right? Like, you have this. Like, the HUD's not bad, it's just, like, intrusive enough to the point where, like, it does detract from a visual game, right? Like, right now, the biggest selling point this game has is the visuals and, like, the ambiance, and, like, the HUD does not help that. My god. The HUD doesn't help it. So that's the main reason why. The game just looks better without a HUD. What the hell? Sorry, I'm taunting poor Mr. Captain Chin here. No. That wasn't even close to me. Oh, Captain Chin. I doubt you will ever feel good. Alright, let's go over to Gunhead. We can do Painless. We're gonna pack Mule in too. How many turrets do I have actually? Let me bring the rack actually in. I got 5, that's enough. We'll do some IEDs too. And then shotgun. And we're good. Oh, Captain Chen. Alright, hold on for a second here while I get my stuff deployed.
Head contains explosives.
Alright, defend me, squires. I wonder if they're still derpy. I'm not sure if I've actually tried out turrets this patch yet. I'm assuming they're probably still just like very flaccid. And you're wondering probably why I'm describing turrets as flaccid, but you'll see. Yeah, they're a little droopy. No, yeah, they're still super droopy. Just me here with my gang. Oh yeah, Ganon's waddle is amazing, yeah. It's actually better with pistols too. What are you? Stop shooting each other! Why did you kill my turrets? Those were friends. Did they get hacked or something? Go and loot these ports then. EDA. I'm full already. Oh yeah, the downside of the rack. Alright, and we're good. Let's go find some large items to blow up. Should be explosives over here. There we go, all 3. Let's blow up some tanks. Don't mind me. Oh, I put you there, okay. I should put it over here.
Tango dumped.
Last one. Alright, all the tank T90s are dead. Get some loot and then we can leave. And like one aspect to it I like about this map Scrapyard is like it's got a gimmick to it, right? Where like it's like an actual factual raid, right? The exit's the same as the entrance, so you go in, you get your stuff, then you leave. Like you aren't presented with opportunities to like once you're on the map, you're playing the map and that's about it. Hey, Orgamech. It feels like an operation as opposed to a map. So it has that different feeling to it. And I think we're good.
And to dust we shall return.
I mean, for a 5-minute raid, not too bad. 3 water, 3 lock boxes. And we were going kind of slow too, to be honest, to beam around a bit in the beginning. Alright. That's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. I'll be back on Friday for another stream. Other than that, new videos in the works. It's still in the scripting phase, so it might be another week or two. But it is in the works. Other than that, I will see you guys later. Alright, bye all.